Welcome back, YouTube. We have a new session today, this Sunday, July 18, 2021. Science is the new religion. We have Babalon everywhere. Michael, welcome.
Hello, dear Brett, and hello, dear listeners. I knew he would start the session with welcome back. And this is session 20. Actually, it's Babalon part 3, but I have renamed it Babalon is Everywhere because it got a catchy song from the Swiss electro duo band Yellow with their song Prisoner of His Mind. Oh, I found it very interesting. The Prisoner of His Mind. So somebody is a prisoner, but only mentally. Right, Brett?
Sounds pretty psychotic.
Okay, so that's the text. The fugitive is fighting the invisible jail. Can he ever make it, or is he gonna fail? Babalon, so Babylon with epsilon, not Babylon like Aleister Crowley, is waiting for the prisoner of his mind. Babylon is everywhere. I'm running out of time. If you now then also understand Babylon as the apostate church, or the apostate system, or the beast system, or the satanic system, then I think this song text is very revealing. Even if the song is not that prominent. Yeah. So this is Yellow, Prisoner of His Mind is called. Drive to Babylon, drive to Babylon. Babylon is everywhere, and to a sticky tape, the flies are flying to the light and trying to escape. The years are eating up his time as a prisoner of his mind. He is alone in Babylon with millions of his kind, or let me say billions of his kind. Yeah, Babylon is everywhere. That's quite interesting. Made it to a song text for the Swiss band called Yellow. Okay, so that is the introduction. Babylon is everywhere means the apostate church is everywhere, and the whore of Babylon is everywhere. So if you like to see it mentally, like Yellow did here in that song text, or if you like to understand it physically as fornication and prostitution, porneia, when the Bible speaks of fornication, the Bible means porneia, the Greek word, which, it's of course the short form, the abbreviation is porn. Okay, so then we are once again, and for the last time here, a shortcut into sex magic. We have started with Aleister Crowley and his infamous rituals, and you see that is not only related to him, but to much more things, because men like to become as gods, as we know already in Genesis 3, from the false promise of the serpent, or the betraying of the serpent. And the serpent said that ye shall be as gods, plural, yeah, many gods, numeral gods. And man thinks to create life with the fertilization of the woman's egg, so that actually they can create life or just having a biochemical reaction. So that this would exclude a soul, of course, because a soul is a spiritual thing. It comes in the understanding of biblical Christians. It comes directly from God. It's called the breath of life. And somebody who's got a soul would be man and animals, not plants. Plants are described in the worldly biology as creatures too. And there aren't. They don't have a breath, they don't have two eyes, they don't carry a nose, they don't have ears, they don't drink, they don't sleep, and they don't breathe. So sex magic is a very dangerous path, because people really think they can become as gods. Beverly Randolph. And so the teaching of sex magic is a revival of Babylon, the whore of Babylon, and all the fornication which took place in the old, very, very ancient times, when people had tablets too, but out of stone, not any computers. So I'm just skipping it here, because you see this is all much information, but it won't lead us to the elaboration of the question, is science the new religion, which we know already. It is not a new religion. Science is and was always the religion, because people intended to believe more in man than in God. And there are two kinds of science, which we have also talked about before. So this Mr. Randolph himself was greatly influenced by the work of the English Rosicrucians, which is an order, let me say that it's also an order to disguise other things. and scholar of Phallicism and etc. Things you don't want to know. Yeah. And also Aleister Crowley reviewed some works in his journal, The Equinox. Maybe you can then have a relation to the works of the famous French instrumentalist synthesizer player Jean-Michel Jarre, because one of his albums is called The Equinox. And Equinox stands both for the solstice, if I remember correctly in my limited English knowledge or the knowledge of your English language.
That's correct.
Yeah, and this is a pagan festival because it is, of course, for the worshipping of the sun god. And also the Equinox was a journal that Aleister Crowley himself was publishing. Equinox can also mean has never ever a Christian meaning, but quite the opposite. It's a pagan meaning. So this all sex magic thing is to let people think to become supreme in creating life. Yeah, it's like a modern Prometheus. So then it's Babylon or the Great Beast Part 2, or Babylon is everywhere, etc., etc. All these or many of these orders, ordo means order, so it's an order for the Temple of the Orient, OTO. They said in 1912, quote, "Our order possesses the key which opens up all Masonic and Hermetic secrets, namely the teachings of sexual magic, and this teaching explains without exceptions all the secrets of Freemasonry and all systems of religion." So if you go down that kind of thinking, then the highest goal that man can achieve is to, quote unquote, create life, which he can't, because he's a created being, so he cannot create anything. But to have an offspring and to leave something to the world, and many people resemble that a child would be is an offspring, and so to create a child would be the act of father and mother alone, which would also limit the child to a physical being. But where comes the soul? Where is the soul in it? And where comes the breath of life? People think that in biology the breath of life, it comes in a switch, in an instant, and it just is coming instantly. And if you think more deeply about that, I highly doubt that if you cut down the connection to the mother, from the mother to the child, in an instant breathing takes place and everything is fine. Yeah, people, sometimes it's very interesting that you don't ask the obvious questions. But let's move further on, Brad. Don't want to go in Aleister Crowley again, because we know that what kind of guy he was. He was into everything sexual because he thinks that he could be as near as to become a god in having sexual relationships and having such infamous rituals with all bodily fluids, etc. Yeah, the problem is that his book of the law, yeah, but when the Satanist says the book of the law, you see, it's a counter Bible, yeah, it's a counter Bible. It's countering the Bible, it's neglecting the Bible. It says that he's got the book of the law. So a man writes a book of the law. He writes textbooks about laws. If you go down to the path of the laws, we can not only mention the Hammurabi Code, but we can also mention that in our modern day and age, there are many, many, many laws, and the number of laws is increasing, especially after COVID. It's increasing and increasing. So many laws. And this man is writing his own book of the laws. And it's about sexual worshipping. It's about sexual magic. And he says, quote, "Each individual has an absolute right to satisfy his sexual instinct as a physiologically proper form for him." So it's about the ego. It's about me. It's about egoism. It's nothing to do with love. Satisfy instinct. What is an instinct? Yeah, ask a dog. It has nothing to do with love. It's an instinct. Okay. So let's go back. I promise that we will go back to the Bible very soon. So many people have taught sexual magic, and many occultists, they all are busy with sexual magic. Why? Because it's just it's just for the joy, for the fun of it. That people just want to have fun. Do what thou wilt. Yeah. So, so many people are into that thing and nobody actually gets it, that there are certain forms of it which are very dangerous. For example, the spiritually transformation power of sex and the practice of erotic ritual hanging. If you say that, oh, why don't you mention it? I'll just have my dinner, then I'm very sorry.
Yeah,
But
that's right. Michael and I are not wanting to promote any of this,
no,
garbage. It's just that we're, trying to be informed, and we're looking at the problem in this world is this influence has had too deep a reach, and it's impacted all of us, whether we like it or not, hasn't it, Michael?
The first thing which happened in the Garden of Eden was the deception by the serpent. And he was playing the game to deceive Eve, and Eve gave the forbidden fruit to Adam, and Adam ate from the forbidden tree, although he must have known that it was forbidden. So Adam did it in favor of Eve and in disobeying God. So Adam followed the path of Eve. Eve followed the path of the serpent. Nobody followed the path of God. Neither the serpent, neither Eve, nor Adam. Yeah, you see, there is only one woman in the entire world for Adam. And of course, the Lord God has made her perfect. So she was the perfect woman. If Adam talked to Eve, oh, you're the one and only for me, he's absolutely right. And she must be perfect. So the perfect woman stands in front of you, totally naked, and asks you, oh, would you mind to take one of my fruit? You see where the problem is? The problem is that it was pleasant to the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
that's a temptation that could not be resisted.
Yes, I think that's one of the major things which Satan plays against us. Yeah, is putting men against women, women against men, all the gender debates and all the things. Yeah, has, in my opinion, the origin that Adam could not resist the temptation of Eve. He was ordained to be her lead, not the other way around. Yeah? Adam should have ordered Eve to not eat the fruit and should have rejected to eat the fruit, but Adam was in love with Eve, and as he said in chapter 4 in Genesis already, that for this woman, man shall leave father and mother. So he prophesied that he wouldn't obey God, but would leave father and mother. So what's the father of Adam? Let's not have a repetition here all over again. But you see that erotical ritual hanging. There is one actor who was accused of doing that and died. It was David Carradine. David Carradine.
Well, there's more than just him. Wasn't there the very famous actor who played, oh boy, what was his name now?
He was playing the monk in the Kung Fu series, which originally was a screenplay from Bruce Lee. Yeah, so Bruce Lee was ought to play the part, but the American producers didn't want to have a Chinese in the leading role. So they decided to go to use the script, but to replace Bruce Lee with David Carradine. And that was the reason, or one of the reasons, why Bruce Lee went to Hong Kong. But that's another thing that I just want to point out, that these things can happen. I don't know if that's the real reason for his death. I'm not quite sure. I'm not convinced. But let's skip it here. Just want to let you know that there is many things are getting on, and we will get later on into the Babalons working. And once again, when we come to the 20th century, you will be totally surprised what else is going on in that world. But let's go back once and for all to the sacred prostitution. This is going back to Babylon. This is going back actually much further to Uruk and all in mankind, because men are falling for women, women are falling for men. And you see, in all the counter knowledge, in all the occult circles, men are very much dominant usually. Yeah. So they use women for these rituals, and they use women to a certain kind, and also children, animals, etc. Because you see that in the Old Testament, in the old times, blood was needed for sacrifice, and you can stress your imagination. I'm not going further down that road. Okay, so that in the old times, everything that has to do with sex magic is often depicted with the hexagram, because the upwards hexagram is the male pyramid, the downward pyramid is the female. So the conjunction between male and female is the hexagram. Yeah, quite easy. So that's why I always point out that in witchcraft, which is promoted by mostly women in the Middle Ages, until now, is very dominantly being made by women, because women were suppressed, and but they were number one when it came down to witchcraft, so that they had her part in the world by using magic, by making things up, love magic, partnership things, but. Okay, that just for your general information. So that is not the Star of David. Huh? These symbols are more older than you and me can imagine. That has nothing to do with David. Yeah, everybody is using some symbols, but the meaning of symbols are so easy to understand if you would use your imagination. Yeah, actually they are self-explaining. We will make one session about only symbols, that you can see that it's so easy that we will ask yourself, why didn't I thought of that in the first place? Okay, so there are many orders. I don't go that path. Yeah, the Atlantean democracy, you see that it's lies. Atlantis never existed, but the problem is that we have been deceived in a way we cannot imagine. We cannot imagine. Yeah, there is also lies and truth mixed up, and also these false idols like Eros, where the erotic comes from. You see, we are using all these things. This is an extract of a book called Liber 777 from Alistair. And you see, you are not smarter when you have read it. It's the opposite. You are dumbed down, actually, because you think that oh, it's very complicated, but it's actually very simple. People make it complicated, and God makes it very simple. He says that just you follow my rules, don't eat from the fruit of the tree in the midst of the garden. That was not very complicated. Also, the 10 Commandments are not very complicated, Brett. Also, the Sermon on the Mount is quite easy. It just
the hard part is knowing that you're being tempted and to immediately reject it. That's the hard part. It's like this, the strong concordance. Someone just was telling us that the strong concordance is Catholic. Well, duh. You know, the dictionary is Catholic. You look up a word, you're going to get a Catholic definition. Sorry, buddy, that's the way it works. And look, we have to suffer through this life whether we like it or not, Michael. And, you know, we work with the limited tools we have. So I'm looking at this strong concordance in Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 10, where it talks about a witch. Mm-hmm. And I click on H3784. It says a primitive root properly to whisper a spell, that is to enchant or practice magic, sorcerer, witch. And there's only 2 instances in the Bible where we have witch come up. W-I-T-C-H.
It was Deuteronomy chapter what?
Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 10. Thank you, Michael. And I'm sure, Michael, you've looked this up. You know that. I know we were talking about that not long ago.
Yeah, a few minutes ago, actually.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, look, we're given a clue as to what this means. And, you know, when you go and you look up in the Catholic Encyclopedia, most of the time, I'm not saying all the time, they boast about their doctrine. They don't just tell you the doctrine, they boast about it. So don't tell me we can't learn anything from the Catholics. We can learn a lot. Sorry, but I had to say
No. Just you see that to whisper a spell, H3784. Usually E thought does offer that. Usually, not now. Don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know how. Don't know why the search window is not working at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of, it's interesting that, you know, Lucifer is only mentioned once in the Bible. Why is that? I think it's to prove a point.
And you see, the name is not that important.
It's not that important, Michael. That's right. It really is not that important. All we need to know is Lucifer fell from heaven and became Satan. He is condemned ever since he touched this earth. He's been condemned.
You see, the devil has been not talked over in the book of Revelation, but also in Luke chapter 10, verse 18, when Jesus said, "Behold, I saw Satan fell like a lightning from sky," for example, once.
Exactly.
And in John, if I remember correctly, First John, I think it is, that the spirit of Antichrist is still in the working, or something like that. I cannot recall from memory now every chapter. But you see, the point is that it's a spirit. You cannot see it, so it's not limited to an institution or to a man. Yeah, that's the thing. But men usually don't comprehend when they read the Bible. They think it's all about Moses, it's about Abraham, it's about Jesus, it's about the apostle, who else? But it's about the original struggle between Jesus Christ as the creator of the world and Satan, who didn't want to follow him. So that is the original fight, the battle which is going on, which was as in heaven, so below, or as above, so below, which is happening here on earth. Actually, people are being under the influence either of the Holy Spirit or under the influence of evil spirits, plural.
Well, yeah, the spirit of Antichrist too. Don't forget. Anyone that is not willing to tell you that Christ came in the flesh and dwelt among us is, guess what? Ding dong, spirit of Antichrist. Watch out. I mean, you know, we live with people like this. This is a fact of life. You have to know how to navigate through the ocean of lies that we live in. And you know, it's pretty simple. It's not complicated, is it, Michael?
No, actually, it's not very complicated, but it's very complicated if you don't know the Bible. Then you will be deceived all over again by all these so-called smart people and intelligent ones.
That's the point. Marvel not that I said ye must be born again, is what Jesus said. It's nothing to marvel about. But the problem is most people are not born again. Even if they say they are, can they prove it? You know, study to show yourself approved, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. We're just here to ring some bells for you. We're students. Michael and I are students. We're not here to tell you that we have the answers, because, you know, sometimes we don't.
It was Deuteronomy 8, and then was it verse?
Oh, yeah, it was Deuteronomy 18:10.
18, not 18,
yes,
but
18:10. Yes, okay, sorry. Yeah. Correct. And that's the very last word. Yeah.
37, 84. Okay.
So we have that's incredible that we have Michael with us, because Michael has a lot of experience in, you know, the other side
Yeah.
of Christianity. And, you know, it's not for us to judge. I'm just very grateful Michael takes the time to tell us what he knows about these things, because literally this is what's running the world right now. That whether we like it or not.
Yeah,
these,
when I was younger,
Yeah.
I was very curious. I wanted to know everything, because you see that a tree to make one wise, huh?
Oh,
And
yeah, of
I was
course.
very curious, and I didn't want to know that,
But
because I
like
was,
the Apostle Paul, God
yeah,
somehow got in there and blinded you and said, you know, come back to me because this is false, you know? And I guess that happened to me too, through my experiences too, Michael, although they're much different, you know?
Mhm. Okay, so my point is here that they use sex as a poison, actually, as a mental poison. Yeah, as a mental poison. I don't want to promote any books, okay? I don't want to promote any books. I'm just here to warn you that everything in that area will be used against you, big time. Yeah. There are things you cannot imagine which are crisscrossing the actual so-called science. For example, the psychology. I'm talking about Carl Gustav Jung, the so-called pupil or follower of Sigmund Freud. You see that these men are also interwoven and connected, and therefore they are collecting semen. And you see there are so many things that I'm very glad it is in German here, the script, so that you don't get it. But you see, it just been since the beginning, actually, that people want to create something out of their own, even to have a more supreme being, a more supreme being like a homunculus, like an artificial man, even that with the help of gods. Yeah, you cannot imagine what's now coming. Hierosgamos or hierogamy, Greek holy marriage, is a sacred marriage that plays out between a god and a goddess, especially when enacted in a simple ritual where human participants represent the deities.
Oh boy, yuck.
Huh? The notion of hierosgamos does not always presuppose literal sexual intercourse in ritual, but is also used in purely symbolic or mythological context, notably in alchemy and hence in Jungian psychology.
Oh yeah, Carl Jung, huh?
Yeah, imagine this was the guy who had several involved in several rituals. Peter Gabriel was talking about it in The Rhythm of the Heat, when Jung was very afraid that someone crawled into his body during that kind of experiment. Yeah, hierosgamos is described as the prototype of fertility rituals. Sacred sexual intercourse is thought to have been common in the ancient Near East. That's, of course, where the root of all mankind began, when it comes down to a location, as a form of sacred marriage or hierosgamos between the kings of the Sumerian city-states and the high priestess of Inanna, the Sumerian goddess of love, fertility, and warfare. Interesting, huh? Love and warfare is the same. In German, we have a saying, it's called, in love and in war, everything is allowed. Interesting. There were, along the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, there were many shrines and temples dedicated to Inanna. The temple of Iana means the house of heaven in Europe was the greatest of these. The temple housed Natitu, priestess of the goddess. The high priestess would choose for her bed a young man who represented the shepherd Dumutzid, the shepherd. Interesting, huh? Consort of Inanna in a hierosgamos celebrated during the annual Doku ceremony just before invisible moon with the autumn equinox. There you got it once again. The sun god is part of the ritual. In Greek mythology, it's the same with the wedding of Zeus and Hera, which is the so-called wife of the major god in Greek. The equivalent in Roman would be the Jupiter, etc., 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 etc. So it has been, it has been forwarded from every kingdom to the next kingdom. Yeah, also in Buddhism, it's also a ritual of the male deity in union with the female deity as his consort, etc., etc., etc. Why am I promoting that? I'm not promoting it. I'm just getting out the point that we are not only affected today, but this goes back to very, very old ancient rites. We're talking about Carl Gustav Jung here.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. The Hieros Gamos is one of the themes that Carl Jung dealt with in his book Symbols of Transformation. Yeah, this guy is pointing it out here on YouTube. I'm not promoting the video, just to make the point. Yeah, the secret of the golden flower. The secret.
Oh boy.
Secrets everywhere. Oh, secret society, secret service, secret order, secret
In
ritual.
other words, Michael, esotericism.
Yeah, sure,
Plain
but
and simple.
It's part today of science. Yeah, psychology is science. Yeah, they are spreading all over the country. It's science who want to judge you how you can improve yourself and what's your problem. And
it's all based on extracting the divinity of Christ out of the man. That's what it is. It's humanity.
The first problem they got is that psychos means soul.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be the study of the soul, or the logos of the soul. Psychological would means
Michael, let's just get right down to the root of this dreadful, evil, wicked tree. Let's just get right down to the root of it. You know, it all stems right there by making an agreement that you're going to serve this world, you're going to serve mammon, you're not going to serve Christ and God and his kingdom, because the riches are just too much. I mean, you look at all the riches you can have and the power you can have over others if you just bow down and worship me, Satan said. And that's what they do. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make all the money. I'm going to drive the BMW. I'm going to have all the women. I'm going to da-da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da-da. I'm sorry. That's how it works.
Yeah, but look at all the rock stars. What are they into? Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. What is the first name? What is the first name? Sex. It's called sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So the music is a byproduct. Think of music as a form of ritual, and in that ritual, the hierarchy is sex, then drugs, then rock and roll. So it's a ritual combining sex, drugs to enhance your senses, and then rock and roll. So then you have a ritual with music. You have a fertility ritual.
It's like the Grateful Dead, going to Grateful Dead concert or something.
Yeah.
Same thing. It just, you don't think of it at the time. You just do the thing, and then all of a sudden you're really playing around with the devil himself, and you just don't know it at the time.
Yeah,
but you know it later.
Much later.
Yeah.
Is it that our eyes are open to the
Spirit? Only if you're sober too, Michael. Only if you follow the Bible. Only if you listen to what the Word of God has to say, which is kind of rare. I think most people are so overwhelmed with the sin that they got that they just can't listen. Oh, I can't listen to this gibberish, right, Michael?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's because you got too many demons.
No, also they are limited by the time, because maybe they know, or they've been told by their inner guide, spirit, antichrist spirit, that they only got a limited amount of time, so they want to maximize their fun in during that short period of time.
There you go. Yeah.
And they will have a counter argument in telling you, oh, you only obey your God because you're so naive, or you only obey your God because it's a form of indoctrination, that people will be calm and they won't make a revolution against governments or something like that. That you see that actually the real Christians are the most peaceful people, or among the most peaceful people, because you see that we are just putting out the facts to think about, but we do not have we do not take the actual thought. We are using the two-sided sword of God. We're using the Holy Bible. We are using our own consent, but we do not start any war. We don't want to go to war. We just want to solve the things by thinking. And so this is science is telling us that they know all the answers. And we will go into that very extensively later on when we go in all the so-called discoveries and inventions. Carl Jung says here in The Secret of the Golden Flower on page 18, quote unquote, is it that our eyes are open to the spirit only when the laws of earth are obeyed? The laws of earth. I cannot recall that the earth has some laws. So the earth is not a person, and the spirit only. Which spirit is he talking about? But
he's talking about the natural man. We can look up the natural man in the Bible.
I just want to point it out that also Mr. Carl Jung is talking of a spirit. So this is all related to a spirit.
It sure is.
But the question is, who's the wise man? Yeah, if I go to that picture here, it's been stated that every law not based on wisdom is a menace to the state. So, but you see that wisdom, everybody has another definition of wisdom.
Which state, though?
Yeah, and this is depicted here.
Which wisdom and which state? That's the question. I mean, is it the wisdom of man, or is it the wisdom of God, or is it the state of man, or is it the state of God? You see what's going on here? They're not telling you. They're just saying, oh, this is how it is. And yeah, they're right. They're right in the sense that they're going straight to the bottomless pit. No questions asked. You want to join them? Go ahead.
If you have a justice system, which has been named after the Roman goddess of justice, Justitia.
Yeah, exactly. Back to the pantheon, Michael.
Yeah.
Let's all go dance with the Catholics back to the pantheon then. Okay? Yeah. I'm sorry, but, that's what's happening.
Architecture hasn't much changed in 2,000 years, hasn't it?
No, nothing's, more than 2,000, because this is Greek.
Yeah.
This is Greek. It's Greece.
Mm-hmm.
Greece morphed right into Rome, didn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't know how far the Greek Empire goes back, but it goes on a long time. Then you got Medo-Persia. That's confusing.
Oh, we will come to that in the next session.
Oh, thank you, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the problem with it. You see that every law not based on wisdom is a menace to the state. Which state, which wisdom? But people think, oh yeah, it's totally clear. No, it is not totally clear.
That's right, Michael.
So everybody has a different understanding.
Yes.
Yeah? And every so-called smart guy has also another system which is using. Freud is using that system. Hegel is using this system.
Yes.
Kant is using another system. Name anybody. Yeah, animus, anima, and yeah. But back to sex magic. In Wicca, you have also sex magic, a ritual. The great rite is ritually based on Hieros Gamos. So it has something to do with the invocation of a god or the participation of a god. The great rite is carried out by high priests and high priestesses. Interesting. So gender correctness here in Wicca. It's quite a modern kind of religion which has its tradition, of course, in witchcraft. Just witchcraft. Wicca means witchcraft. Don't tell me anything about it. I got so many people who are into Wicca, and they're all just promoting Gerald Gardner, who was a follower of Aleister Crowley. So don't give me a break, please. Okay, so you got the same in Tantra, fertility rites. So everything that has related is not only limited to Minor Asia or the Far East or Asia in general or something. It's all around the world. Okay, so all around the world there are sex rituals, and has to do with Inanna, who was the old Sumerian goddess, you see, 4,000 before Christ, let us say from the very beginning. So also we got the same kind of thing in the Witches' Sabbath. Yeah, Witches' Sabbath is depicted here.
Witches' Sabbath.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Performing the Oscar.
Yeah, they have to rest too, I suppose.
Yeah. No devil seated on serpent end-laced throne. How can that be? A serpent end-laced throne, which performing the osculum in fame upon a demon and another being aided by a demon. Another being aided by a demon can also mean
Pope seated on serpent throne? No, oh, devil. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I thought that was the Pope.
No. Yeah, this is a ritual greeting upon meeting the devil. The shameful kiss, the kiss of shame.
It looks like the Pope's throne. You know how they carry him like that?
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, but he's not wearing horns.
Oh, okay.
So witches Sabbath also is something about naked witches and demons around the devil. Can you imagine why they are naked? Yes, you can, and you're absolutely right. In the Cautia Criminalis, the word Sabbath is listed in the index with a large number of entries. And in that kind of relation here, we have the witches' Sabbath and the combination between man and God to create a godlike being or a supreme being. Is much known throughout all the ages in all different regions of the world. And this guy here, Friedrich Spee, who wrote that book, was a Jesuit, and he was often in the position of witnessing the torture of those accused of witchcraft. For example, the witch's hammer, the Malleus Maleficarum, which was kind of a book of law, how to treat witches and sorcerers. Yeah. But the accompanying footnote, the translator seems to apologize for the lack of both the term Sabbath and the general scarcity of other gatherings that would seem to fit the bill for what he refers to as a Black Sabbath. There you know where Mr. Ozzy Osbourne came up with his name of the band. Has nothing to do with dark people or something like that. Yeah, this is the real origin of the name of Black Sabbath. Yeah, it's a gathering where witches are gathered to have a great naked pleasure with the devil. What a strange name of a band. This is a picture of the Spanish witches' Sabbath, as known as the Great He-Goat. Yeah. Okay. So why I'm mentioning that? You see, the witches' Sabbath by Franz Franken the Younger, noted among imps brewing the magic potions and magical flight of witches up a chimney. A chimney? I remember myself of a very prominent figure who is related to chimneys.
Oh boy.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
And please wait 3 more months to April. Or to 2
April
months.
Fools, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, this is so obvious. Everything is so obvious, but the people don't actually see they think that's just fairy tales and that it didn't happen. Didn't happen. Yeah. This is a Spanish witches' Sabbath by the painter Francisco Goya, note offering a baby to devil in goat form, which collection of aborted furtisus and skeletal changeling. You see why I've mentioned that? It's very old. All the things which are happening today are very old. These are actually very old, really very old.
Nothing new under the sun?
Nothing new under the sun. Connections to real groups. Yeah. So it's not only legend. Yeah. Here is Carlo Ginzburg, who famously discovered records of a group of individuals in northern Italy calling themselves Benendanti, who believed that they went out of their bodies in spirit and fought amongst the clouds against evil spirits to secure prosperity of their villages, or congregated at large feasts presided over a goddess where she taught them magic and performed divination. So they received their magic instructions by out-of-the-body experiences. Just mentioning something here that you see that it's not only limited to the old age. And usually we were talking about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. They had drugs without LSD in the ancient times. For example, with applied hallucinogens with several plants. For example, Atropa belladonna. Belladonna, interesting name, huh? Belladonna means beautiful woman. And so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. We would like to get to our next session. I don't want to spend so much time of that. but I don't know how much are we into these sessions already? How many minutes?
That's a good question, Michael. I can't answer you. Don't know.
Okay. I got another problem or another relation to the Bible here, actually. And the relation to the Bible, actually, is the following. In the second book of the Kings, it's been said, Brad can read it, that also high priests were busy in worshipping the wrong gods. And were busy forcing, and other high priests are being busy forcing out the so-called pagans out of the door. And that in that time, even in the temple of the Lord, there were false priests and priestesses. Let's go into that, please, in 2 Kings 23.
Okay, so 2 Kings 23, verse 4. Should I read this?
Please.
And the king commanded Hilkiah, the high priest, and the priests of the second order, and the keepers of the door, to bring forth out of the temple of the Lord all the vessels that were made for Baal, and for the grove, and for all the hosts of heaven. And he burnt them without Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron, and carried the ashes of them unto Bethel.
Yeah, imagine that they made vessels for Baal and for the grove and for all the hosts of heaven. So for stars, for example.
Aye.
In the 2 Kings already. In the 2 Kings already. And it won't get any better here in the 2 Kings chapter 23.
Very interesting.
For example, here in that verse, and the altars that were on the top on the upper chamber of Ahaz, which the kings of Judah had made, and the altars which Manasseh has made into 2 courts of the house of the Lord, did the king beat down and break them down from thence, and cast the dust of them into the brook Kidron. I just want to see the point that there were always deception within the church or within the temples, especially. So it needed a devout ruler to get rid of all the idolaters in the temple. And even the very famous ones, Brad. Yeah, even the very famous ones, they were connected with adultery. Look at here, Deuteronomy 23, the 2 verses. Could you please read it?
Sure. Deuteronomy 23, verse 17 reads, There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, or a sodomite of the sons of Israel. Thou shalt not bring the hire of a whore, or the price of a dog. Is that dog?
Dog, yeah. We can look it up later.
Into the house of the Lord thy God for any vow, for even both these are an abomination unto the Lord thy God. So Deuteronomy 23.
Yeah, in German it is money for a dog. Yeah, so it is really money for a dog. Yeah, in German it has been translated that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it speaks about prostitution amongst the daughters of Israel, of sodomites, of the sons of Israel, and it speaks about the hire of a whore and the price of a dog into the house of the Lord.
There we go. That's it.
Yeah, thousands of years ago. Has that been a problem? And in Herodot, Historia 1, it has been reported that the Babylonia of the times of the Persians, he had to fornicate once for the glory of Milita to a stranger against money. So a prostitute. They had to prostitute themselves, also in the temple of the Aphrodite in Corinth. Yeah? So it was a very famous that these days. And Aphrodite we had with Kylie Minogue with her tour Aphrodite. Yeah, usually nowadays, this is a supreme being, huh? Yeah, usually nowadays it has been mentioned that, oh, this is a circular reasoning, could not be true, that there was temple prostitution, etc., etc. We rely on the Bible. Yeah, we rely on the Bible, and we know that there is many items of forged history books, and therefore we rely on the Bible. Yeah, you see, this is Inanna was later called Ishtar. And that is where all the problems started. I invite you in the name of Melita, the woman had to say. It does not matter what sum the money is, the woman will never refuse, for that would be a sin, the money being by this act made sacred. Yeah, by prostitution. Prostitution, whore money was made sacred when it was meant to be in the name of Melita. That's a false goddess, no? To make it absolutely clear. Melita is a goddess in the consort of Assyrian and god Ashtor, Sumerian goddess, etc., etc., etc. Melita also identified with Aphrodite, the Babylonian variant of Meluso, blah, 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 blah. Every time the same. But that is about prostitution against money. And then the money was made sacred. Oh my, oh my, oh my. So she follows the first man who cast it and rejects no one. The British anthropologist James Fraser accumulated citations to prove this in a chapter of his magnum opus, The Golden Boar. We spoke about the Golden Boar extensively during the Christopher Lee and during the James Dean sessions, because both actors have something to do with it. That in the Hammurabi Code of Laws, the right and good name of female sacred sexual priestesses were protected. Sacred sexual priestesses. What are these but temple whores? Yeah. These are terms associated with temple prostitution in Sumeria and Babylonia. This is English language, Sumerian, Akkadian, science and cuneiform that cannot be displayed in my program here, but nevertheless. Yeah. So these are the names of temple prostitution terms. In English, it was an abbess, a priestess, a nun, a hierodule priestess. You see, these are the equivalent names in the other languages. And now think of cult, prostitute, Istaru. It's interesting, I hope. Istaru, so it has to do, it's related to Ishtar, okay? And now, a class of women has been called in Sumerian Akkadian Sekretu. That's interesting, a class of women, a class of women. I don't know if it's a phrase, a class of women. Is it a phrase? Have I looked to look it up in the Urban Dictionary, Brett?
I have no idea.
Okay, but a class of women, a special class of women. I found that very interesting. But it's called the sacrum. Yeah? What's the sacrum? Sacrum has something to do with secret. Yeah, okay, so let's put it mildly. It is something very strange going on here. Prostitutes, etc. So the Hittites also practiced sacred prostitution as part of their cult of deities. Brett is smelling.
Yeah.
Including the worship.
Is not the. Yeah, it's morning over here. You know.
Yeah.
Just
A bull god and a lion goddess, representing fertility, and the goddess who presided over human birth. So they think actually that a pagan goddess presided over human birth. And the Hittites remembered me at this chapter of the Bible. Uriah the Hittite, mentioned in the books of Samuel, an elite soldier in the army of David, the king of Israel and Judah, and the husband of Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam. While Uriah was serving in David's army abroad, David himself, from the roof of his palace, looked down on his city and spied upon Bathsheba bathing in the privacy of her courtyard. Moved by lust at the sight of her, David called for her to be brought to him and slept with her, impregnating her. In an effort to hide his misdeeds, David called Uriah home from war, hoping that he and Bathsheba would have relations and that he would be able to pass the child off as belonging to Uriah. But Uriah, being a disciplined soldier, refused to visit his wife. So David murdered him by proxy by ordering all of Uriah's comrades to abandon him in the midst of the battle, so that he ended up getting killed by an opposing army. Following Uriah's death, David took Bathsheba as his 8th wife. So even the most, I think, the most famous king of the Israelites, David, who wrote all these psalms, for example, Brett, yeah, he was moved by lust, and he ordered the murder of her husband, violating at least 2 commandments. Thou shalt not kill. And the last commandment, please help me out. You shall not be envy about your neighbor's belongings and your wife.
Oh yeah, no coveting. Yeah,
No
something
coveting.
to do
Yeah.
with coveting.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
So even David, who was in relation of the Almighty God, could not resist the beauty of a woman.
Well,
that
you know, Michael, I was looking deeply into the issue of. I just want to briefly touch on this.
Mhm.
I was looking deeply into this issue of the book of Exodus, chapter 20, the commandments from Moses, the Decalogue, the everyone says we have 10 commandments, but have you read thoroughly the Old Covenant and established firmly what is said there? It's more to it, if you ask me, but I haven't studied this enough yet, and I don't, necessarily want to cause a big fuss here, but we got to go very carefully, tread very carefully on what is said in those verses of the Bible, because I think we have some problems, Michael.
Yeah, the problem I'm facing here simply is that the Bible is always right when the Bible says that no one's good except God.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
everybody fell for the beauty of a woman. Adam fell in Genesis 3. Solomon, we have learned that he had 700 women and concubines, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And David fell for the beauty of Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam. You see what I'm going up to is the point that if Satan is deceiving us, he's using many times in the Bible, he's using women. For me, it's just it's just every time the old story that men are following men or women, actually in that case, and not God. And this is one very hard thing to do. Let me tell you that of my own experience. I once had a relationship which I would never have been touched. And and I had to decide between the women and God. And I did decide for God. And I think that put me in that position today. Otherwise, I would be superficially happy, but I think I would be very rotten inside or something like that. You see that don't want to point everything out, but don't you see here a pattern, Brett?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah. So I don't know if Uriah Heep is actually named against for depiction of Charles Dickinson, because I don't know what Charles Dickinson came up with Uriah Heep. But as Uriah the Hittite, I think that it's a very strange resemblance that somebody picks out the name. And if you look at the Uriah Heep band, the most prominent name, of course, or the song is Lady in Black. Yeah, the name was changed to the well-known character from David Copperfield, Uriah Heep, because in around Christmas 69, due to its being the 100th anniversary of his death, his name was in every mouth or everywhere around. So, and you just look upon that these are one of the most successful representatives of this genre, which just means that they have to serve Satan. Now, the band's history is also marked by frequent member changes, death, musical differences, and drug problems. You see sex, drugs, and rock and roll. These are the albums of Uriah Heep, you see. Demons and Wizards, The Magician's Birthday, Wonderworld, High and Mighty, Fallen Angel.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, it's do your own research. Yeah, sure. This is just, they're coming up with demons, wizards.
There's so much of this crap. It's
There's
unbelievable.
only crap. Yeah. Yeah, and the
It's
first,
just, Michael, it just never ceases to amaze me what you come up with.
yeah, but you
Really,
see,
I got to be perfectly frank with you. I would never look at it this way, but okay, my eyes have been opened. Thank you, Michael.
you see that I know I'm using at the moment the science is the new religion script a little bit sideways to the satanic media or music agenda. But just to make a point that we were deceived by the so-called subtle and wise serpent from the beginning to distract us from God by using the beauty of women. And that
Well,
is not.
Really, we got to bring it back to the Lord. I mean, I thank the Lord for Michael because look, I don't have Michael tell me these scripts in advance. I just tell him, I'm looking forward to doing these scripts with you because I am learning along with our listeners on my channel. There's nothing really new here, but what is new is putting it into context with what's happening today, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's true when you are living in a day and age when all of this stuff is happening and it happens so quickly, you really don't get a chance to reflect and look back on it until it's gone about 50 years. And here we're looking at 1969, Michael. Mm-hmm. Uriah Heep. It's been a long time. Yeah, and I don't even remember hearing any of their songs. I don't know if I've even really heard much of Uriah Heep. I'm sure I probably have, but
yeah, it starts with "She came to me one morning."
Oh, Phoenicia! Oh, the Phoenicians! Oh, Phoenicia!
Yeah, yeah. So Baalbek renamed Heliopolis.
Heliopolis. Yes.
Helios.
Kind of like Minneapolis. Yeah.
Yeah, Helios, the sun god. Yeah.
Right.
It's always the same. Yeah. Erotic dancers called pulere gaditani in Roman sources. Yeah? Hebrew Bible, you got the same. You have the double meaning. Yeah, Zona and Kedash.
Oh yes. Speaking of Phoenicia, they have the double-headed eagle. Isn't that from Phoenicia? Or not the eagle, but the phoenix. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
See, that's what that's what's so confusing about all this crap. Pardon my French. But you got the double-headed eagle and then you got the double-headed phoenix. And I made a video some years ago with some of Eric John Phelps's titles that he was using. Actually, it was from Alan Lamont. And someone in Europe was complaining that I was putting the double-headed phoenix up there and calling it an eagle. It's like, dude, don't you understand that in America, we have jack diddly crap as far as we don't know nothing about phoenixes, but in Europe, it's a legend. Okay, I didn't know that.
Sure. Yeah, but Steve, we learn daily. Yeah, and I like to learn daily. Even I learned from the scripts because during the reading of the scripts, there is something happening in my mind, and I think, oh yeah, you have to mention this, and came up with that. We are fallible.
Well, no, the point is this is a deeply European problem here, and it's rooted in ancient times. And if you've never studied this stuff, you got to be a little lenient on people. Don't be so quick to judge them. You might be shooting yourself in the foot. That's my point.
Yeah,
I get really, really fed up with how thankless people are for doing the work that we do, Michael. But that's the fact of the matter. I think we got a bunch of zealots, and everyone wants to prove the other researcher wrong. And we're just shooting ourselves in the foot. Bam, 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 all the time. Just go hurt yourself some more, why don't you? I get so fed up with this.
I just want to make the connection between the next to the next session, that we can close it down in this session with the so-called sacred prostitution, or what I have started to begin with. Babylon is everywhere.
Yes,
it's everywhere.
Yes, they flooded us with this.
They flooded us. You see, that's here
considering the whole esoteric purpose anyway, Michael, is to flood us with false information, get us believing a lie, get us dancing around to our own death. And they won. They obviously got it down pat, and nobody knows and nobody cares. Let's go have fun. And yeah, it's Babylon. So what?
You see,
let's laugh about it.
These are just Wikipedia things to make you think and to make to do your own research. If here is putting out, they are people are explaining here, occupied by sex and dance on Phoenician culture, then look at any MTV video. It's only sex and dance everywhere.
Yeah,
in Cyprus,
Phoenicia is a very important occultic. What can we say? History. And yeah, very wicked, Michael. I
just wanted to incorporate 3 sessions on Babylon and Babylon workings and sex magic and sacred prostitution into the Science is the New Religion script, because it was fitting into the time, and you see that nothing has changed until the modern times. Yeah, in the Hebrew Bible there are different words for prostitute, Sona and Kadeshi, or Kedesha, and Sona just. They tell us that it simply means an ordinary prostitute or a loose woman, but the word Kedesha literally means to set apart from the Semitic root, means holy, sacred, or set apart. So Kedesha would be the temple prostitutes. Okay, so these occurs, they tell us here 93 times in the Bible. I haven't verified that at the moment. And the double meaning is believed that there were no ordinary prostitutes, but sacred harlots, the mother of harlots. I found very interesting.
Yes.
The mother of harlots.
So-called sacred, yeah.
Yeah, who worked out of fertility temples. And Wikipedia says there is a lack of solid evidence because they don't count the Bible as solid evidence.
Of course.
That's the problem here.
Of course.
That's the problem.
It's the world.
Yeah. Yeah, examples of male prostitutions are called sodomites in the King James Version. Yeah, have a commonplace since the reign of King Rehoboam of Judah, King Solomon's son. The house of sodomites, and so yeah, it is everywhere. It is in Rome, it is in Greece, it is in Phoenicia, it is in Sumerian, it is in Babylon, it is in Persia. It's today. It's on the internet. It's everywhere. It's in Greenland. It's in the Antarctica. It's on the International Space Station, if it exists. Yeah. Yeah. You see, in Greek it was been known in Cyprus. Yeah. In India, the practice of this kind is forms such as Basavi involves dedicating prepubescent and young adolescent girls from villages in a ritual marriage into a deity or temple, who then work in the temple and function as spiritual guides. As spiritual guides, children, teenagers, dancers and prostitutes servicing male devotees in the temple. It is MTV today. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. MTV seems to be the religion television. Yeah, or the television of the Whore of Babylon. It's everywhere. In the Aztec, the Franciscan Spanish friar, a clergy, Bernardino de Sahagun, learned their language and spent more than 50 years studying the culture. He wrote that they participated in religious festivals and rituals, as well as performing sexual acts as part of the religious practice. Song and dance. Just sex, drugs, and rock and roll, they're all rituals. The Inca sometimes dedicated young boys as temple prostitutes. The boys were dressed in girls' clothing. Gender, anyone? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And right. Chiefs and headmen would have ritual sexual intercourse with them during religious ceremonies on holy days.
Nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new. Nothing new. Yeah? Nothing new. Yeah, and people compare that to Marie Magdalena, who was being claimed as a prostitute. And I know that from memory that Jesus Christ was driven out 7 demons out of her. What does that tell you? Afterwards, she was a follower of Jesus Christ. What does that tell you? That people can be changed. by
Yes.
by the faith of Jesus Christ.
Not only that, that Jesus is patient and long-suffering in his spirit, and we are not. We as flesh and blood are not patient and long-suffering. We are in the spirit when we're with Christ, yes, but that's the only exception.
Yeah, this is a prominent example from Kylie Minogue. Yeah, and even Robert Anton Wilson, who was the author of the famous Illuminati trilogy, he was having a book called Ishtar Rising, why the goddess went to hell and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. This is Inanna Ishtar. Yeah, it's been mentioned everywhere, but the Star of Ishtar, we have talked about that, and I hope we can close it down very soon, because this is, I think, repetition here, and I'm very glad that once again I had to mention James Fraser Accumulated Citations of the Golden Bough, because that book was the idea of the Wicker Man of Christopher Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and in the Christopher Lee, they taught in the movie, they copulated openly in the fields, including children as part of the May Day celebrations, teach children of the Fenwick Association of the Maypole, etc., etc. And the Lord Summer Isle is the Lord of Summer Island, Christopher Lee. And he talked about the parthenogenesis, so the birth of a virgin who was impregnated by a god, and so that the circle from the satanic media agenda to science is the new religion can be drawn today. And in the end, the devout Christian called Howie, who was citing the Psalm 23, was being burned in a giant Wicker Man statue as a sacrifice, as a human sacrifice, a thing which was going on since the beginning of mankind, when the mankind has been fallen. The sacrificial or the sacrifice of a human body, which first, among my knowledge, was taking place when Cain slew Abel.
Mm-hmm.
That was a sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And according to my knowledge, biblical knowledge, Brad, please help me out and correct me, God never demanded a human sacrifice in the Bible. Except from the pagan firstborn.
Oh, but he did try. Who was it now when he?
Abraham, Isaac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did try him to see if he would follow through.
Test his faith. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Test his faith.
Good. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. See,
And
that's
I think, Michael, that the same thing can be said with us. There are trials in our lives personally that when we are tested, and either we pass or we fail.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times we fail, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we all have to recognize. We have faults, and we should be willing to tell others our faults, but you don't tell strangers your faults. You tell people that you know are in the body of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you know? Well, you simply ask, did Christ come in the flesh or not?
Yep.
Did he come to save mankind from his sin or not? It's a simple question, and it's a simple answer. And when they answer, no, he did not, then you know they are the spirit of Antichrist. So then you deal with it accordingly. It's simple. But actually putting that into practice, Michael, is dangerous, because you are using the two-edged sword of Scripture. You are dividing. And that's what Christ said he came to do anyway, is bring division. So, sad to say it, there's many people in this life, Michael, at this present time, that have no faith.
Sure, faith is not rewarded in our Antichrist system. Yeah,
No.
it is attacked. Yeah,
It is
faith
attacked.
is under attack.
It's under attack.
Yeah. You have to be faithful to your government. You have to be what else? But you don't talk about moral or ethic. Other people will decide what's moral is and what ethic is and what words you may use or use not.
Mm-hmm.
That far we went.
Yep.
That far we went. Yeah. So the old fertility cults, yeah, of a sacrifice. It said that Mr. Fraser, the author of the book, proposed that mankind progresses from magic through religious belief to scientific thought. So science is nothing else than so-called knowledge, but it's just a question what knowledge actually is. Everybody tells the same what knowledge is, and the problem also is that nobody wants that you gain knowledge, because then you would ask questions, and that's what a totalitarian system doesn't want to do. They don't want you to ask questions. Yeah, they just want to tell you the truth, what you believe, what you don't believe, what you shall do, and what you're not to do, ought to do, by numerous laws. Numerous laws. Yeah. I'm just skipping it here, and I'm ending the session by now. Because
I like that slide you just had up about false news, faking false news. Yeah, Hegelian dialectic.
Yeah.
Agenda to shut down alt media. Thesis, faking fake news to cause public outcry. Antithesis, online Big Brother censorship. Synthesis, removal of free speech on the web. This is exactly what's happening. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah. You're welcome. But we have talked about that, I think, on the Christopher Lee sessions, and it's more actual than we like it. But I just want to point out that religious things have always a relation to science. The central theme of the book, The Golden Ball, that all mankind has evolved intellectually and physiologically from a superstitious belief in magicians through a superstitious belief in priests and gods to enlightened belief in scientists. It's just that the scientists are now the high priests. These are the successors of the high priests and magicians. And we will see that it has much more to it. You see that music comes from the muses of the Greek mythology.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it absolutely does make sense to come up with the science script after the satanic media agenda, because now we will explain the bigger picture. It was just the music agenda in the beginning, then it proceeded to become the media agenda, and now we are getting to the big picture.
Yeah, it really is a big picture.
Yeah. So, just to make a long story short, nothing is new actually, but they sell it as new. Yeah? Since old we are falling from the pleasant things to our eyes, from fancy cars, beautiful houses, great vacation, beautiful women, a handsome man, name anything. But it's all about vain deceit. It's all about materialistic things. It's all about the mammon. It's all about the golden calf. It is mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abomination of the earth, according to Revelation 17:5. The great prostitute and the beast, what Esau is talking about. And here prostitution, fornication is depicted here as porne. Yeah, porn, a whore,
yeah,
a harlot.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Idolatry, abomination. Yeah? See, we can go on and on, but actually we know the deal is that the Hebrew word kilef, dog, below may also signify a male dancer or prostitute. Let me tell you that the word bitch, bitch, also means a female dog. So when they depict people as a dog, then you can imagine what kind of mindset there is after. There's a satanic mindset if you degrade people or mankind to bestiality. Yeah, that's why I pointed out bitch. Bitch here means even more provoking than a whore. Vulgar tonguer, a she-dog, a dog is the most offensive appellation that can be given to an English woman. But nowadays, yeah, look at the media, music agenda, yeah, how often bitch is used. Yeah, I don't know, Madonna, Britney Spears, who else? Or son of a bitch. That means actually son of a whore, in a very bad meaning of it all. So we are, also, Brett, our speech is being dumbed down. Yeah?
Of course. Of course it is. It's part of the whole process of,
Yeah.
you know, just completely confusing everyone. And yeah, well, what do you expect?
Yeah. So
you can't expect much, man.
Yeah, this is we covered much ground today, and I'm also glad that I was not stuck.
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, we're talking about in terms of the world, you know, in worldly things. You know, no wonder it's no wonder. But in terms of the body of Christ in our study in the Bible, we can be very grateful that God is gracious with us and has had mercy on us in showing these things. So I'm very grateful, Michael, for the lesson today.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's dark and it's very disturbing, and what can we say? It's just a fact. We're in a very sex cult, ritualistic society, aren't we?
It's just that I wanted to have the connections to the old Babalon system, that you see that this has been used in the occult, and it's been used under the radar, that it is common today that people are dancing half naked on the television set, which was unthinkable 50 years ago. So you see the frontiers are falling. Everything is allowed. You see that same gender marriage is coming, and then
not only that, at the same time you have the legalization of marijuana, for instance.
Yeah, and my point simply is next time we will go back to the Bible and back to the metal man. We were going then from Babylon to the next kingdom, Medo-Persia, and then of course we're going to Greece. And so we move our way forward, and we see everywhere the connection between religion and science, and between kingdoms and science, and kingdom and religion. And you see it also here in this profession about sex cults or sacred sexuality, temple rites. Even there, you see that nothing has changed from the first city on this earth. It never has changed, and it has been succeeding and succeeding and succeeding. And our generation now is so poor, it's so bad off, that they are under the influence 24/7 by hundreds of channels, by modern television, radio, smartphones, tablets, everywhere. They are constantly bombarded, as Brad pointed it out this morning, constantly bombarded, and they don't see the truth because it is common. It is common that everybody wants to make it in this world. They want to serve the golden calf. They want to make big money. They want to be famous. They want to be an influencer. They want to achieve many, many friends on Instagram, Facebook, name it all. And this is a totally artificial satanic world. It has nothing to do with real friends. It has nothing to do with real knowledge. And it has nothing to do with real science, and especially nothing to do with the science or in the Bible or the faith in Jesus Christ and the real truth, which is Jesus Christ as the Word of God. And now I'm handing it over to my beloved brother Brett to close it down.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, and then we can take the next route, which is the corruptions of the Bible and the history behind it all. And wow, it's just one huge, gigantic system called Antichrist, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Antichrist. It's called anything but Christ. It's called paganism. But that's the common thread that this world maintains. It's the human nature. But little will anyone tell you that humanities are just simply, you know, the extraction of the divinity of Christ as being the head of the kingdom of God. And that is the goal. So all of these images and idols, Michael, they're just, this is what the world promotes. This is what everyone wants to see. And it's revolting.
Yeah.
Pentagrams everywhere you look.
Yeah, sure.
It's sad.
Yes, see, it is everything artificial. You see no nature, no animals, no children, no nothing. And even now they have to wear masks everywhere. Yeah.
Talk about dumbing down.
Dumbing down. This is an artificial world. This is Barbie and Kent or what? This has nothing to do. You see, this is nothing natural or healthy what they are displaying here. Yeah, there's artificial food, artificial, and everything is artificial. And you get an award if you are the most or the best harlot. Yeah, then you get an award. Then you will be praised. You will be worshipped. Yeah, like what is it here? Beyoncé with her own church. Huh? The goddess Beyoncé. Don't know. Does she wear a crown? I don't want to prolong the session actually, but yeah. Okay.
We're not putting all these images up to offend people. We're just simply showing you what is popular today.
Yeah.
It's not to offend our listeners. Anything but. We need to be educated. We need to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. So this is what the serpent's done. Can it go further? Yeah, you can go full on nudity. That's what's coming next.
I'm afraid we will see pedophiles. That is my.
That too. Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely. The most innocent.
Yeah.
And that's what our society is going to promote while we destroy the myth of the Bible. I mean, how absurd. All right, yeah. Michael, I think we've had enough.
Yeah, I think so.
We've had our fill.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Let's close it down. You see, I really promise next time we will go extensively in Medo-Persia, and then.
Oh, who's this dressed up as the Pope at the bottom here?
Pope at the bottom here.
See that? Yeah, Beyonce. There we go. That's pretty good. Beyonce, I like that one.
Jesus Church in New Orleans. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You got to have a little humor. I mean, if anything.
Yeah, I don't know. You see that people take that for granted.
Who knows what they're doing? But look, the fact of the matter is, yeah, they're harlots, and they're going right after their mother, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. So it's fitting. It fits pretty good.
Look at here. You see even the two keys.
That's right.
Yeah. Also, dear people, I apologize myself a little bit for maybe going over the edge. I don't know, or stressing your limit of capability for the subject. But I want to make it very much clear that we are talking about sex magic. We're talking about religious rituals. We're talking about the combination of sex, magic, and religion, and of course power.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this is a power that women are being granted in this world by their sexuality and their fertility. Actually, yeah, they've been seen as the creator of life. Eve, as the first woman on this earth, has been translated into life giver.
Well, yeah, it's just in the doctrine of the Roman Catholic Church with Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, Mariology, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a perversion of the Bible.
Yeah. Okay, but really, I promise next time, Middle Persia and yes. Daniel Madelman. So we have closed down Babylon from the scientific and from the sexual cult perspective, and we will go down to the next item, which is then Middle Persia, and then we go to Egypt. As a intermediate thing, and we go then into Greece, and you can think about that. I want to do a little bit chronologically. So thank you very much for having me, and God bless.
Well, Michael, thank you. And you know, I can't help but emphasize this enough in being a musician and a songwriter myself. The music is used to promote an ideology, and that ideology has always been based on turning the tables on the truth of Jesus Christ specifically, and enhancing the opposition. And when you figure that out, you're not going to be very happy, because especially if you have any faith in Jesus Christ. But if you don't have any faith, then you can just, you know, throw everything that Michael and I did in the dumpster, because you're not going to listen. And the vast majority will never listen, Michael. We know that, but we know that those that are in Christ are suffering, and we will continue to suffer till Christ returns. And you can guarantee that there's nothing wrong with that, because the scripture says all those who live godly in Christ Jesus shall suffer persecution. So yeah, the book of Deuteronomy, very important. I just hope we can learn to get to know these scriptures better, and God willing, we'll be able to work out some of our differences and figure things out a little bit better to make what little we have work for the church, the true church of Jesus Christ, not a false ecumenical mumbo jumbo that we see in the world. And with that, Michael, we're going to close it up. We hope to see you next time. God bless and Maranatha.